welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. I'll be your astrologer today. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I'm back at it with another video for you guys. We're going to be taking a look at this up and coming full moon in Capricorn. If you guys like my content and you want to see more of it, make sure you click the bell button below this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment below or a thumbs up and let me know what you think about this double trouble full moon in Capricorn. We're going to be seeing this happening at 1 degree of Capricorn, and it'll be on June 21st, 2024, just actually after the summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. And that'll be taking place in the PM hours here in the States. Obviously, I know we've got viewers from all over the world, but we're going to be seeing that taking place at 6:07 p.m. Pacific time, 8:07 p.m. Central, and 9:07 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time. So adjust your time. It might be a little bit later or earlier depending on where you are. But the reason why I say double trouble, you guys may or may not know, but there will be 2 full moons in Capricorn this year. There's going to be a huge focus with Capricorn, not just because of these 2 full moons and the blue moon that will be taking place next month, but also Pluto will be retrograding back into the sign of Capricorn. So now is a really good time to pull out your chart, whether you have it on an app or you have it on a piece of paper, or maybe you have it saved on a software. Take a look at that house because that's going to be a real area of focus for the next couple of months. Now, what's interesting is that these 2 full moons are quite different. I'm only going to be talking about the first one that's coming up here in the next month. I'll be doing that other video as we get closer to probably like early or mid-July. But these moons are going to be very different. We're going to see one that's taking place at 1 degree. That will be the one that's this month. And we'll be seeing one at the 29th degree next month. Now, the one on the 21st is going to be really interesting because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac, and it is associated with the element of earth. So it is very strong when it comes to building and also like long-term goals and your professional goals. It's all about responsibility and also commitments, ruled by Saturn. Now, Saturn is direct during this full moon, but the next one, it will be retrograde. For me, these 2 moons are incredibly different. Full moons are a time where we see the sun and the moon oppose each other. This is kind of like a climax of sorts. So we may have to go back and kind of look at what was happening with the new moon last year in Capricorn. But they're very different because the first moon seems to be more so centered around kind of getting a better handle on our emotions and utilizing our time as well as energy in a much more efficient manner. Plus, Saturn is direct right now, so I think it's going to be rather favorable. Whereas the second full moon that we're going to see on the 21st of July is a lot more about tying up loose ends that have arisen over the past 18 months due to these flipped, full moon cycles that are now going to be kind of corrected moving forward and getting our life back on track. So this is definitely going to be a hot kind of area in your chart for, like I said, the better part of like the next couple of months. Now, whenever we see a full moon, right, like I said, it's the opposition between the moon in one sign and the sun in another. Events feel more intense. We might see big conclusions, completions happening in our lives and out in the world. And I think a Capricorn full moon is a really significant time for really taking stock of your achievements and reassessing your long-term goals, especially with Saturn being direct. Now, it encourages you to find a balance between your emotional needs with that sun in the sign of Cancer. This is all about taking action. Cancer is a cardinal sign. The sun is really highlighting that. And the moon in Capricorn, technically in a more challenging sign because it is ruled by Saturn and it's in the opposite sign of Cancer, is really going to be saying that we need to get a balance between our emotional needs and our practical responsibilities. So being on the axis of Capricorn and Cancer, it's really going to be emphasizing the importance of hard work, discipline, perseverance, and how that's impacting us emotionally, our home, our family, our security. And this period is, I think, really great for setting realistic goals and addressing any areas where we need more structure and taking responsibility for our actions. Now, it's interesting because full moons generally are kind of like this blossoming and blooming where we see some kind of results that really come forward after 6 months since the most recent new moon in Capricorn. But this one's a little different. I actually feel like you can set intentions with this full moon. You can actually say, you know what, I'm going to assess how far I've come. Where, you know, where am I kind of off track, or where do I need to kind of apply myself a little bit more? And you're going to have the next month until we get to the next full moon in Capricorn to kind of wrap up those loose ends. So it's not a bad full moon actually for being like, okay, let's kind of assess where I'm at and set some goals that you would like to complete in the next month or so. Now, themes associated with Capricorn full moons generally do revolve around ambition or career, because that's the theme. It's ruled by Saturn. It has connections to, you know, our ambitions. It has connections to our status out in the world, whether that's where you're working, the type of job you're working, your status being, you know, am I an employee or am I a CEO? But also your public status, who you are out in the world. You know, how do you want to be known? What is your legacy? Are you married? Are you partnered? Are you single? These kind of things can also blend into the themes of Capricorn in the 10th house. So there is more of like an emphasis during a full moon in Capricorn on career goals and, you know, professional achievement, long-term ambitions. And I think this is a good moon to really reflect on your progress that you've made over the last 6 months. And then ask yourself, you know what, where do I need to actually push myself a little bit harder? Where have I kind of lost the vision for where I'm trying to go? And with Saturn being direct, I think it's, you know, going to be really helpful because it's going to bring in support. Saturn is kind of seen as the support barrier for our long-term goals. And in the sign of Pisces, it's going to be about our vision, our faith, our philosophies, what we are praying for, what we're meditating on, and what we're actually willing to let go of as well in order to achieve some of our dreams and make it a reality. Now, responsibility and discipline are definitely some keywords for anything relating to Capricorn. So there may be more of an emphasis on taking responsibility, you know, being disciplined and working hard towards your goals, meeting deadlines, and really showing up for yourself out in the world. So you want to look at which house this is taking place in. If you guys hold tight to the end of the video, I'll take you through the 12 signs. But this is about really making sure that you're doing your due diligence in this area. And if you're not, then it's about applying yourself a little bit more. You know, Capricorn, it has associations with time. So it can mean, you know, do I need to make more time when it comes to a job search or finding the perfect position for me, or, you know, getting all of my tasks done? So that can certainly be kind of part of this as well. And Saturn and Capricorn have a really strong kind of connection to obviously structure and stability. So you may find that in this area of your life, you're realizing, you know what, I need more structure when it comes to this particular house, or, you know, I'm really focused on stability and establishing firm foundations in this particular area. So if you're feeling like a little destabilized, this can be a moon that can kind of give you some insight as to where you can actually build something back a little bit better or stronger. And also, I think a lot of that kind of ties into, you know, really kind of seeing emotional resilience. Because the moon in Capricorn, it is associated with Saturn. So there can be this feeling of sometimes being emotionally blocked or being kind of thwarted. But when I think of Saturn energies, I think of Saturn delaying, not necessarily denying. Delaying, not necessarily denying. So I think that this can also be a time where we're really balancing our emotional needs with our practical concerns, and really being able to demonstrate resilience and face the challenges of life. So this is going to be a moon where we're like, you know what? X, Y, and Z has happened. You know, I've been there, done that. I was able to overcome it. Now what's next? And you guys will really see this when I read the Sabian symbol, because it has a connection to that. And then finally, authority and leadership. So we will see out in the world that there's going to be themes revolving around authority figures, leaders, leadership, personal power. All of this is going to come to the forefront. You know, Saturn has connections to governments and leaders and CEOs and elders in society. It is connected to, you know, older generations. And with Saturn being in Pisces, I think the theme is going to be, I think, more about where are we blindly just following certain guidelines or rules or certain leaders, or, you know, where are we just kind of blindly assuming that, you know, we've got support or security, or that we're going to be taken care of. We are going to see a square that's going to be happening to Neptune. So there can also be this realization that's like, oh, something wasn't as secure as I thought it was, you know, so let me go in and fix it. whether it's like a financial situation or something kind of going on even with like a foundation in your home. There's definitely going to be a little bit of tests that are going to come up to see whether or not there's actually as much stability and security in your life as you think. And through that process of realizing that something may not be solid, you're kind of stepping up to the plate and going, okay, you know, I'm going to be an authority or a leader in my own life. I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fix it. Perfect timing, especially with that North Node in the sign of Aries and a slight trine to Mars. So we're going to feel a little motivated to kind of get out there, stand up and get something done. Now, collectively, yes, you know, Capricorn deals with public life and society. So a full moon in Capricorn can definitely show us that, you know, we're really needing at this time to reflect on, you know, societal structures, government, public institutions. I do think there's going to be a collective focus on, like I said, leadership and authority figures like governments, leaders, head of companies of all kinds. So some of these people are more so going to be in the spotlight. You know, kind of in the back of my mind, that square to Neptune is where collectively we're kind of like, wait, you know, do they know what they're talking about? Or like, can this person be trusted? Or, you know, do they have the right ideas? The moon does kind of reflect what's going on with the general public. So it can indicate that there is a little bit of, you know, shocks and surprises that are going on with the public and how they're actually responding to leadership as well. Something else that comes to mind during this full moon for me is going to be economic stability, because definitely full moons in Capricorn, you know, they bring attention to economic stability, financial systems, and long-term planning at a societal level. So I think we're going to be hearing a lot from, you know, economists. I think we're going to be hearing a lot from people who are giving information on job reports or on, you know, inflation numbers or things pertaining to, you know, what's kind of going on economically in the world. And I think that, you know, I'm kind of torn between the square to Neptune and the trine to Mars, because I do feel like this may be more financially influenced than most Capricorn full moons. You know, usually full moon in Taurus, Scorpio, we're going to hear more about money, but there is going to be some financial stuff that's going to come up. And a lot of people are going to be asking, okay, well, what are these heads of companies or these banks or financial institutions? What are they actually doing? Watch also for environmental and global responsibility themes, because awareness of these themes do come up, especially, you know, anything revolving around promoting sustainable practices. I think about Saturn and, you know, that placement in Pisces. So I do think that we're going to be hearing more about you know, what we are doing to protect water, what we are doing to better manage flooding, what we are doing to better, you know, take care of the needy or, you know, the homeless or people who are sick. I do think we're going to hear themes revolving around immigration because of Pisces' connection to that and Saturn being in that sign. So that will probably be making headlines along with other things revolving around borders. So watch for that as well. And then finally, community and social order is another theme that kind of comes up collectively during a full moon in Capricorn. So there may be more of an emphasis on community efforts, social order, and working together for the greater good. And I do think that, you know, perhaps maybe a full moon square Neptune can be that. It can make us realize that, you know, maybe we are being, you know, a little too closed off or a little too cold or distant from those who are in need. And it can definitely bring up a much more kind of sensitive, compassionate vibe during the time of this full moon, especially if we're feeling like there is a lack of leadership. That moon in Capricorn shows emotional security through taking action and providing. So there can definitely be some really strong community efforts that can happen during this particular full moon. And you'll see that kind of lead into the next full moon as well. Now, the full moon's going to be at 1 degree of Capricorn. So if you have any personal placements, I would say 0 to about, let's say, you know, 2, maybe 3 degrees of Capricorn, sun, moon rising, or if you have a node or a planet there, this full moon is definitely going to be more impactful for you. So watch for that. And we're going to be reading the Sabian symbol for 2 degrees of Capricorn, because this is 1 degree and change. So let me pull this up for you guys. All right, so the Sabian symbol for 2 degrees of Capricorn is 3 stained glass windows, 1 damaged by a bombardment, okay? The theme is reverence. The symbol speaks to those objects and structures that commemorate the most meaningful experiences in our lives and the need to safeguard and protect these moments from careless or superficial destruction by those who have no appreciation or understanding of higher values. The image of the 3 stained glass windows, one damaged by bombardment, is one of the reverse negative symbols in the Sabian Symbols. It alludes to the strength and durability of survival. The emphasis in the degree is the indestructibility of experience and spiritual reality. Windows symbolize vision. Here, a beautiful vision has withstood an attack that damaged but didn't completely destroy it. The implication here is that the visions and values are not always shared, and that there is also a need to protect these intangible treasures from attack from those who are indifferent or who see things differently and feel threatened. At its highest, the symbol represents integrity and inner strength, or an ability to withstand criticism and personal assault. Watch for overprotection and possessiveness. The accent is on stark reminders and painful periods of life that you have survived. Your greatest advantage lies in protecting what you value from attack or loss. Also remember that the experience can never be destroyed. Guard against placing your values in things rather than what they represent. Stepping stones are an assault on values, survival, endurance, indestructibility, significance, memorial, historical record, chronicle, or testimony. Okay. So obviously 3 stained glass windows connected to a church, in my opinion, you know, the Sabian symbols we can see this materialize out in the world. They can also be figurative, but I see this as like a connection to spirituality and sacredness, because the church represents spirituality, things that are sacred, and a connection to higher ideals and aspirations. So, you know, the rose connected to the stained glass, or like the beautiful figures and the things that you see, can also symbolize beauty and artistry and the light of spiritual insight. So it can represent like an attack on all things that are beautiful, all things that are sacred. But if they are protected, basically they can kind of weather the storm. Building on what I said about, you know, the resilience factor of this particular full moon, I think some people are going to experience this full moon and they're going to go, whoa, it's been a lot. There's been a lot that's happened, but look at what we've been able to overcome. And, you know, the windows being damaged by war signifies resilience and endurance in the face of adversity. So it highlights the capacity to withstand challenges and maintain faith and hope even when damaged. So appropriate for Saturn and Pisces. I do feel like this has really felt like a transit thus far that's been a test of faith, a test of whether or not there is some kind of divine, you know, intervention that's going on, or for some of us, we might feel like we're turning more to our faith or spirituality practices, and finding that, you know, that is giving us shelter from the storm of what's kind of going on in the world. I think about also like the integration of past and present, because obviously when we think of like stained glass windows and stuff, it's not really something that we see, you know, very common in kind of the modern world. We do see it in some churches and spaces that have been, you know, preserved and protected. So the intact windows, I think, you know, represent the integration of past experiences, both beautiful but also painful, into this present moment. And it calls for recognizing and valuing all aspects of one's history. And then finally, the themes of reconstruction and healing. So the damage obviously indicates the potential for reconstruction, you know, that the building didn't fall, you know, some stuff may have shattered, but not all of it, so it can be fixed. So this might represent a period of rebuilding and restoring what's been broken and finding strength in the process of that. So we may be becoming aware of that at the time of the full moon, that, you know, hey, this has been really painful, but I'm finally ready to fix it or heal it, or, you know, now finally kind of moving on. So I think like in a sense, it can be about kind of taking the good with the bad and reflecting on what's happened and realizing that we do have the strength, we have the vision, we have the faith and the capability to carry on and continue forward. So I think that for a lot of us, it might suggest that on an individual level, we're really striving to kind of integrate our spiritual beliefs or values into our everyday life. And that may include, you know, our cultural heritage or, you know, material circumstances. I think this is also going to be about, you know, those of us who experience significant loss in recent months or hardship. We're finally reconciling our spiritual beliefs with these experiences and seeing that these as times that were difficult, but they taught us a lot about, you know, being able to overcome. Now, if we look at what's going on with this particular moon, so like I said, the moon's going to be at 1 degrees of Capricorn. There's a number of aspects that are kind of going on. You know, obviously we've got a stellium of planets that will be in Cancer. So the sun in Cancer really shining a light on home, security, roots, our past, our culture, our heritage, where we come from, our homelands. And Venus, which is about love and beauty and value and relationships. And then Mercury, which is going to be about communicating. So there's a great deal of pride that comes from the Sun, Venus, Mercury of, you know, look where I come from, or, you know, look at what my grandparents did, or look at this home that I've been able to build, or this family I've been able to build. And seeing it as being, you know, beautiful, but also challenging, because the moon is opposing all of this. And so when I think of like the axis of Cancer and Capricorn, they can't survive without each other, right? These are very much directly connected to the archetypes of like mother and father. We've got, you know, the home and the security and kind of the basis and the emotional kind of space of the 4th house Cancer, which is seen as like the womb of the natal chart. You know, the 4th house is kind of the safety, security, your private life. That creates the foundation, which everything else from, you know, basically the 4th house to the 10th house is built upon. It's an angular house, so it provides a lot of support, and it opposes the 10th house of Capricorn, where, you know, with all of these kind of things that we're building, or these emotional kind of things that we're tending to, or family members or pets or friends or homes, apartments, city, in the city or in rural areas, it comes with responsibility. And whether that's being a parent or being a partner, you know, maintaining a job. So the moon in Capricorn is really kind of, you know, highlighting this particular aspect. And I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of correlation, and I'm already seeing it in a lot of media, where people are talking a lot about, you know, like, how can we make it possible for people to be able to afford homes? How can we make it possible for people to feel safe and secure in their home country? And what actions or responsibilities or I guess like emotional awareness, or how much emotional awareness is out there when it comes to leaders and leaderships for the fact that we need these things. So that's going to be coming up a lot. You know, obviously, I think that with Saturn being the ruler, you're going to see a little bit more than a week after this particular full moon, Saturn will turn retrograde in Pisces. I like that it's direct. I think that that's really helpful in helping us get a solid, firm grasp and understanding with where we can do better. It's also really great for grounding us when it comes to our vision. So whether that's meditation, prayer, practice, it could be yoga. You're going to want to look at the Saturn part of your chart, so where Pisces is, because it's pulling energy from that to better help support what's going on with this full moon. I think that Saturn and Pisces really can help us take a grounded approach to our spiritual practices. It's less woo-woo. It's more like simplified, be alone, reflect, pay attention to, you know, what's kind of coming up for you intuitively or within your subconscious, maybe even your dreams. And it allows you to integrate this into your practical life. So I think that the Capricorn full moon can really appreciate that Saturn is really making sure that we're doing this in tangible ways. I've said for a long time that Saturn in Pisces is about making our dreams a reality. And so for some of us, maybe some of those dreams have kind of more or less felt like pipe dreams. Some of us maybe have been doubting our capabilities of being able to make something a reality. But at the very least, I think Saturn here is really teaching us that if we really want to build something solid in our life, if we really want to make something happen, it's not always about wishing, it's about acting. And, you know, sometimes to be able to kind of reach these goals or get from point A to point B, sometimes we also need to dissolve things. We have to let things go. We have to, you know, work with that energy of Pisces and say, you know what, and sometimes we need to know when it's time to leave the job, leave the relationship, leave the party, leave town, to be able to better envision a new reality moving forward. So we'll be able to kind of balance dreams with reality. That's like the key between, you know, these two energies. You are going to see this theme about the emotional and professional side of topics relating to integrity. Because I think Saturn in Capricorn very much is about integrity. I think there's going to be a focus here on responsibility, be that within your career or your personal life, and really making sure that we're aligning with our deeper values, and whether that's just traditional values, your financial beliefs, your, you know, religious or spiritual beliefs, really living a life that's in alignment. Now Saturn's at 19 degrees. This is the degree which it will retrograde from, and 19 always correlates and connects to relationships, partnerships. It's a Libra degree. So when we think about 19 degrees, I'll read to you guys what I have on Libra using degree theory. That's going to play a role in this. And also, you know, Saturn being at 19 degrees here, it can be this realization that some things may be dissolving. Some of these things may be dissolving. So it can be relationships. It can be things in between two partners. It can be about politics and politicians, public figures. So this can be about, you know, certain public partnerships or political kind of like partnerships are dissolving. That can be kind of coming up here as well. It's also about justice and court trials and things relating to lawyers. Things that are sweet, indecisiveness, colors, things that are aesthetic or beautiful, stuff relating to art, paint and painting. Let's see, physical touch, kissing, gifts, presents, ceremonies, receptions, diplomacy or diplomats, and diplomatic behavior. So I do think that with these planets in Cancer, I think that you're going to see a lot more kindness going on with the general population and people versus, you know, what's going on with like politicians. And I think maybe that's like the opposition. You know, you're going to see a lot of people that are going to be like, well, I'm not going to choose to get angry and divisive. I'm going to be more focused on nurturing and caring and trying to be compassionate for others. Especially with the sextiles that are happening to Mars and Taurus, I feel like there's going to be this very kind of like banding together, helping other people, wanting to help build communities in aspect to that opposition to the moon, where we may feel like some public officials or leaders are kind of a little cold-hearted, or they're not as understanding or considerate of what the people actually need. Now, the Sabian symbol for Saturn, I would like to read to you guys. So we're going to read 20 degrees of Pisces because we're going to round up. And 20 degrees of Pisces is a table set for an evening meal. And it's about, let's see, familiarity. The theme is indulgence. The symbol speaks to abundance and the fact that everything an individual need is readily available in the world about him only if he will recognize it. The image of a table set for an evening meal suggests nurturance and caretaking. It also alludes to the fact that man is free to accept or reject whatever offers him. However, it is totally the case that an individual will not move to claim anything for his own until he recognizes his value or potential usefulness of a thing to himself. On a practical level, this degree symbolizes prosperity and gift giving with no strings attached. At its highest, the symbol represents special sensitivity to the needs of others and a sincere desire to be of service. Watch for the inability to recognize the needs of others or witless optimism and the refusal to face reality. The accent here is on being provided for. You may discover that things just appear today right when you need them. Your greatest advantage lies in anticipating what others will need. Be observant. As you give, so shall you shall receive. Be generous with others. Guard against taking unfair advantage of others' kindness. Don't forget to say thank you and express appreciation when someone does you a favor or goes out of their way to make your life more comfortable. Stepping stones are abundance, nurturing, caretaking, sensitivity, service, aid, assistance, prosperity, comfort, ease, solace, contentment, gratification, fulfillment, pleasure, and satisfaction. I really like that Sabian symbol. I think that it can be extremely positive. I think it's playing off of also the building trines that we're going to be seeing with planets in between Cancer and, Saturn and Pisces. I also think about the sextile that's happening to Mars and Taurus, which can be very generous. It can be very giving, and it can be focused on providing for other people. There's a lot of really warm kind of like hospitality vibes that I get from that sextile, and also from Saturn at this particular degree. So it's interesting that the Sabian symbol was, sitting at a table for an evening meal. I really feel like this is going to be about kind of turning down the volume of life right now and taking time to sit down and appreciate what we have, being generous, sharing with other people, whether that's your neighbors, your family, sitting down at a local, restaurant, kind of family style with people you don't know, and like learning how to be a part of the collective and not feeling isolated and kind of, separated. And also giving to others when you can, because this is very much about hospitality and community and gatherings of other people. I think that there's a lot to learn from sitting down and having a meal with people that you don't know, and whether that's strangers or when you're, traveling in a foreign place, or if you're just sitting down, to have a meal somewhere. Inviting people to share a table with you or share a meal can be a really amazing experience, and it can be also really eye-opening and show you an opposite perspective, especially if it's people who might have different views than you. So that opposition to Capricorn can actually show us that the world does not have to be a cold place. It can be something that's warm and generous and giving if we make it so. I also think this is about preparation and anticipation, the act of actually setting a table and anticipating that there's going to be a meal or that guests are going to be coming, does talk about something that's meaningful. So we may be really focused on during this full moon, what is meaningful for us? What do we want to actually be known for out in the world? How can we take the necessary steps and really prepare to make this possible? And also it's the value of being ready to receive and nurture relationships and connections to make these things become a reality. Nurturance and care comes to mind as well, especially, not just physical, but also emotional. And it highlights the importance of taking care of oneself and other people. So if you're, going to be just giving to other people, that's great, but you also have to be kind to yourself. So it can be about learning to be more compassionate with yourself, so that way that can kind of reverberate out to relationships with others. And I also think about domestic life and ritual. Obviously, that is a connection, just even looking at all like the Cancer in this chart. But I think the symbol kind of touches on the rituals of daily life and the significance of maintaining order and beauty in our domestic environment. And really emphasizes like the sacredness found in everyday activities and routines. This is definitely a time to, if you can, start being like, okay, I'm going to make more of an effort to, have dinner with my family, or I'm going to make sure that, I'm home on a certain day of the week and we are going to have a sit down meal and everybody's going to, talk about what's going on in their life or what they were able to accomplish this week or what their goals are for next week. Same thing with meetings at work, having a meal with coworkers and also with management and other superiors can be really helpful in inspiring and encouraging other people to share what their goals are, so that way everybody's on the same page with being able to make that happen. And obviously unity and celebration, because the theme is, setting a table for a meal. So it invokes feelings of unity and celebration. And it's a reminder of joy and fulfillment that can come from sharing experiences with the company of loved ones. So I'm excited to see how that kind of connects and correlates. I'm definitely looking forward to the relational aspect of that being at 19 degrees and really taking the time maybe to invest a little bit more in our relationships and how healthy, strong relationships can be so helpful in really helping us become the best versions of ourselves. Now, in terms of the aspects for this moon, I'm going to work with the aspects that are going to be the most, like the closest aspects first and kind of work my way out. A lot of the things that I said, I think are really great. I think overall, like I said, this is going to be a moon where we're going to be like, okay, we're going to reevaluate where we've been. We've overcome some stuff, but where can we do better? And this is where I say a full moon is like a completion or an ending, but this is a beginning and an end because it's at the very first degree of Capricorn. So because this is at the very first degree of Capricorn, it is, by about a degree in a square. So this is a hard angle to Neptune. Okay, so here's kind of the challenging aspect of this full moon. When we have the full moon that's in a square to Neptune, and Neptune is the focal point actually of what is a T-square. Okay, so a T-square, kind of getting T-boned. I've used that reference a couple times. This basically means that Neptune is the one who's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb that can be creating some disharmony between the planets in Cancer and the planets in Capricorn. And so Neptune's got its pros and cons. I think that this is a full moon where we're going to become more so aware of something that was hidden, something that was confusing, something that's been falling apart, something that's unclear. We may find ourselves going like, how did I not see this? Where did I lose the plot? Where did this water come from? You know, where is this craziness kind of coming from? And Neptune is at a critical point. So this full moon squaring Neptune, I think, you know, being the themes of leadership or government or authority figures out in the world or elders or responsibility, it's going to be highlighting where there's issues in these departments as a result of Neptunian things. Hospitals, prisons, you know, hidden things, secret society, kind of conspiracy-esque things, stuff like that may kind of be coming up. I will say that this does concern me for a number of reasons. I think we're going to be seeing some pretty extreme weather over the next 2 months or so in some parts of the world. And it does make me wonder if there is going to be some like massive storms, hurricanes, flooding, things that kind of come from Saturn and Neptune in this sign. That's kind of really pushing or prompting us to really look for support and look for leadership. So that can be something else that can kind of come up as well. For me, squares to Neptune, especially involving the moon, can create heightened emotional confusion and sensitivity because full moons make things bigger, and then that square to Neptune will amplify this further. So we can feel that there are, you know, feelings of confusion, uncertainty, and emotional sensitivity. So this is a good moon, even though it's in an earth sign, to practice grounding. You know, go for a hike, work with some crystals, you know, get your feet in the dirt or in the grass. This can also be a time where working with water can be helpful as well if we're feeling really kind of sensitive and if we're kind of like empathically getting slimed. Something else that comes up for me also is like illusions. So Neptune is known for creating illusions, and there can be problems with deception. So we can see issues with boundaries. There can be illusions of things that are coming up. There can be a tendency to see things through rose-colored glasses and to be deceived by others or by ourselves. So it's interesting that the moon is going to square Neptune. So it's bringing up some kind of false reality that's being projected, false perception, and it's relating to Saturn. So I think it's going to be about political affiliations and partnerships. I think it's going to be about sponsorships and donors. I think it's going to also be about the false illusion of having it all together, having it under control when it may not be. And I also think that there can be some things that are kind of coming up revolving around relationships and whether or not we actually feel solid, safe, and secure in certain relationships. Now, the positive is that a full moon square Neptune can bring opportunities for increased intuition, okay? So the intuition can run very high, can feel very enhanced during this full moon, very psychic when it comes to sensitivity. So it's a really good time to be paying attention to your dreams, your gut feelings, your intuitions, visions, any, you know, if you have had readings or if you are getting readings during this time, it can be very insightful for giving you a heads up and helping kind of pierce the veil and kind of see what's going on the other side. Good time for inner guidance also. And also spiritual connection, because Neptune almost has like this opportunity to kind of flood you and open the doors with spiritual experience or artistic inspiration and deep compassion. So it encourages us really to look beyond the material world and find, you know, a deeper meaning of things. That can be life, that can be relationships, partnerships, the deeper meaning of our purpose, you know, where we're going, all that stuff. But watch for issues revolving around escapism and avoidance. I think that that's a big theme when we're looking at Neptune squares. Perhaps a strong desire to escape reality through daydreaming, substance use, or other forms of avoidance. And it's important to be mindful that these tendencies can find healthy ways to cope. Lack of clarity in decision-making. Decision-making can feel kind of clouded, especially with Mercury and Venus, which is very much communicating what you love and what you need. Feeling like that's out of reach with the moon in opposition. It's like, no, I need more of this, and I'm not really kind of getting what I need. So we may be feeling challenged when it comes to you know, making major decisions. We might feel confused when it comes to making decisions about job or home, you know, related situations. And I would just say, give it a little bit of time, let it ease up a little bit, and let the moon, you know, move out of the sign and wait till we see maybe like the moon going into Pisces a couple of days later, making some aspects to both Venus and Mercury. Compassion and healing are Neptune aspects as well. So this can be a powerful time for healing, you know, donating your time, your services, helping other people and being compassionate. So if there's a cause that you want to get involved in, if there's some, thing that you want to kind of take charge of in your local communities, if you want to start a business that's going to be a spiritual business, or if you want to be doing something that's going to be, nonprofit or something where you're giving back, right? This can be a time that you're kind of figuring out how to launch something like that. And then, the best advice that I can give you for this full moon is, number one, wait for part 2. Okay, this is a full moon, but it is really the beginning of the end because the next one's going to be conjunct Pluto. So this is one to look around and be like, okay, where am I in this area of my life? What have I accomplished so far? Make a list. And then sit down and go, how do I feel about this? Do I feel good with the accomplishments that I've, made? What doesn't feel good? I need to kind of pay attention to that. I need to listen to those emotions or those feelings, because emotions and feelings with Mercury, the Sun, and Venus in opposition to the moon are a huge piece of the puzzle. How we're feeling and how we're able to kind of really deeply, I think, connect to ourselves is going to help give us better guidance about how we can actually make the necessary changes that we need to in our life out in the world, so that way we're feeling like we have a better work kind of life balance. I definitely recommend grounding exercises. I definitely recommend also keeping a dream journal and paying attention with that square to Neptune, and any compassionate practices that you can. And whether that's gentle self-care or showing kindness towards other people, or engaging in activities that promote healing or well-being, these are definitely things that you want to consider. Now, outside of that particular square that we're seeing to Neptune, like I said, we see an opposition to Venus. So there is this feeling of longing for more, wanting more. There is an opposition to Mercury. So we may feel like we're kind of in our feels. It's really difficult, or we're afraid to kind of get out of our comfort zone, or ask for help, or, get out into the world and, put ourselves out there and be seen. But we also see a trine to Mars. And that trine to Mars is really wonderful because Earth trines provide stability and security. So Moon trine Mars is willing to step up to the plate and say, okay, I'm willing to, make this move, or I'm willing to, be responsible or grown up or mature in this way, and feeling really motivated to get something done. Mars and Taurus obviously can be very much connected to financial motivation. It can be about productivity. It can be about building. So if you're in, a situation where this full moon comes through and you're like, I want to launch a business, or I'm wanting to look for a new job, or I'm wanting to, change my status in the world. This is a good moon to really say, okay, what actions am I going to take to be able to kind of make this happen? Mars and Taurus, obviously a little bit more slow, but very steady. And we're going to be seeing that kind of build throughout the next couple of weeks. We'll take a look at in the next chart, for next month, what that looks like. But right now, I think with Mars trine this moon, and also with the sextiles that we're seeing between Mars and Cancer, there is a lot of focus on building things that's about feeling more so physically, financially, kind of like grounded. This can also be about doing a lot of work and feeling a sense of pride when it comes to our role out in society and what we've been able to accomplish. Now, something else to kind of think about is in the background, we do see that there are some sextiles that are also taking place. We've got Jupiter that is within a 6-degree sextile to the North Node. So Jupiter in Gemini is helping all of us communicate better. It's helping all of us kind of move around better. And become more proactive when it comes to sharing our thoughts and our beliefs. So we're feeling motivated to do that. So especially those of you guys who are wanting to launch a business, launch a blog, maybe make a big statement about, some kind of change going on with your career. This can be also a really positive moon for communication because of that. And let's see, do I have anything else here? A couple hours, and it's probably going to be actually the next day, but a couple hours after this full moon, the moon is going to make a number of other aspects. So you're probably going to feel this moon for about another day or so, because the moon will continue to go through Capricorn. There we go, into the 22nd, where early in the morning it'll oppose Venus. So we're feeling that longing for something. And quite literally, when I look at like moon in Capricorn, it's like, I'm working, but I'd rather be home, you know, or I'm working and I get a call that, you know, your kid needs to kind of come home sick from school. And you're like, okay, I got something that I have to take care of. We'll feel that sense of being like, I'm making this sacrifice, I'm doing this work, but, you know, I'm doing it for the people or the places that I love. Okay. Then we're going to see the moon come into a trine with Mars. So we're going to feel a lot of like motivation and feeling a little bit more amped the next day on the 22nd to kind of take some kind of action. And then the moon is going to oppose Mercury. This will be in the PM hours of the 22nd, the next day. And this makes it really difficult to kind of coordinate with other people, to kind of communicate and connect. There can be a sense of people being like really emotional and sensitive and not really feeling like other people are really receptive to their needs. And when the moon makes that aspect, it begins coming into a square with the nodes. So, hello. It's going to create a grand cardinal cross. So what I'm getting at here is that this is a full moon you guys are going to feel for about another day. When this happens, when the moon squares its own nodes, it has nothing to do with the full moon, but there are kind of like fated events that take place. We do see things happen out in the world, or decisions that are made, or emotional reactions that kind of come about that do kind of change our future with where we're going, because this is about moving away from the past, undoing, releasing, letting go of, you know, Libra related things. And we're moving towards our future, North Node in Aries, which is fierce, independent, you know, unwavering, trailblazing. So perhaps maybe some of the sparks that are going to come from this full moon, it starts maybe on the evening of the 21st, but it's really picking up most of the day on the 22nd. Now, this 1 degree in astrology does connect and kind of correlate very much with Aries. So it is going to be about, what am I initiating? What am I starting? I do think on a global scale, there is going to be more of a highlighted focus on, you know, what is happening with military mobilization. Where are troops going? Huge topic here in the United States, obviously. You know, there's a lot of controversy over what's going on with the clearance from this current administration to Ukraine for utilizing American weapons in Ukraine. And also there is chatter all over the interwebs right now about the potential of American soldiers going and fighting on the front lines for NATO involvement. So whether or not that happens, I don't know. I'm filming this much earlier in the month of June. And we'll have to see what happens. But I wonder, with the trines to Mars and the squares to the node, if there is going to be increased kind of mobility going on with military action. The other thing that I was kind of thinking about also, like I said, is that, you know, we have this next full moon that's going to be at 29 degrees. Let me show it to you guys really quick so you can see what I'm talking about. This will be a blue moon. So this is next month. This is going to be in July. And it's a blue moon because we're going to have 2 full moons, which we don't typically have. So, you know, I look at 2 full moons in Capricorn. Pluto's retrograding. It's going to come back into Capricorn later this year, and it's going to hang out at 29 degrees for a little while before it goes back into Aquarius, where it's going to stay. In that 29 degree Sabian symbol, which is about, you know, a group of people sitting and having, you know, meetings behind closed doors, is very much going to be about, I think, a lot of these, you know, world energies, these leaders, people kind of talking about this significant change and transformation that's going on within top-down structures, and whether that's, you know, in big business or tech or banking or, you know, politics. Like, we're going to see a lot of this stuff happening. Change is definitely on the horizon. But this full moon is the ending. So where we had one at, you know, at 1, we're going to have this one at 29, ruled by Saturn. Saturn is now retrograde, and this is in a trine to both Uranus and Mars. So major fireworks going on in July, and it will be weeks after the 4th of July. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. You know, I will do a video on that in the future. I guess my other thing that I wanted to show you guys was the new moon, because this was a new moon that has become a full moon. So this new moon actually dates back to January 11th, 2024. So 6 months ago, we had a new moon in Capricorn. So think about the intentions you were setting during that time. Think about the themes that were going on in your life. This was a new moon that was pretty darn close to Pluto. It was within 9 degrees. So some people would consider that a wide orb, but Sun, Moon, and Pluto in Capricorn is about where we're really changing and transforming something about our personal power. So something was seated then. It was in a trine to Uranus, so change was the name of the game. Change about, oversight and, control or regulation, especially over cryptocurrency, finances, banking, financial institutions, food, agriculture. And it was also in a sextile to Neptune. The only thing that really kind of stuck out for me about this particular new moon, and I remember it, is that it squared the north and the south node, okay? And it was at 20 degrees. So it was basically saying like, look, change has to happen. 20 degrees always correlates to Scorpio, so it's about an ending and a beginning. Like, don't you guys love how the cosmos continue to kind of keep showing you these same patterns over and over? It's like awesome. So change was the name of the game. The only way out of that square that we were seeing to the north and south node was the trines to Uranus, where we were willing to reflect, because it was retrograde, what we value, what we don't value, what we need, what we don't need, and make those necessary changes. Now, back then, Saturn was also in a sextile to Jupiter, which was extremely fortuitous. If we can kind of hold the vision, hold the dream, we are able to actually plant, grow, and see all of these things, kind of turn into reality and become very fruitful and abundant. So whatever you were setting your intentions on, I guess is what I'm saying, could potentially be pretty significant during the time of this full moon. If you're watching this and you're like, you know what, I did not do any of this stuff back in January, don't fret, it's all good. Use this full moon as your new beginning. Look to see what's going to be happening on the 21st of July when we have that second full moon in Capricorn. It'll be a blue moon. So Capricorn placements, pay attention, especially in the early degrees. And for those of you guys next month who are going to be at that 28, 29 degree, you guys are going to be feeling that as well. Let's look a little bit into the 12 rising signs. I want to talk to you guys about where this is going to be taking place in each and every one of your charts. I'm going to be using the whole sign method for my presentation for you guys. If you guys do not use that, if you use Placidus, that's totally fine. You're just going to want to be looking for where is 0 to like 1 degrees of Capricorn in your chart. So let's see. Let's do it this way. There we go. Okay. And something else I want to tell you guys is listen for your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. I'm a tropical Western astrologer. That's what I practice. I don't practice Vedic. And I would also recommend looking at the house where Saturn is. Because that's kind of the energy of what's influencing basically this full moon. There's going to be a connection there, even though it's not technically making an aspect. All right. So let's start first with my Aries and Aries risings. Let's talk to you guys about what's happening. There's definitely going to be a lot of focus here over the next couple of weeks and months when it comes to your career, because the full moon is going to be in your 10th house this month and next month. The 10th house is about your status, it's your public life, it's your reputation. So it's very possible that there are big things happening for you in this regard, okay, with this full moon. It's possible that, there is a highlight of your career or your public life. There can be achievements at work, you can be in the spotlight in some way. And it's also a period for really evaluating your career goals and making strides towards your ambitions. Now, obviously, if you're an early degree Aries, you're going to feel the square, so just be mindful of that. And this is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is in your 12th house, and that kind of represents that maybe you're working behind the scenes. Maybe you are, putting in a lot of hours in your office privately, working and burning the candle at both ends. Maybe there is a realization that there is a phase of your work that's coming to a completion. Maybe you're getting ready to make a presentation of sorts. Something like that is kind of coming up. But some of you guys also may be kind of getting hit out of the blue unexpectedly with some things that are going to be impacting your work. So changing jobs, losing jobs, going to interviews, launching businesses, all of these things can kind of happen here. The good thing is that it is in positive aspect to Mars in your second house. So likely whatever happens it is providing for you to actually make more money or be able to have more resources or more security in the long term. So let's say this is a full moon where a job ends. It's incentivizing you to go out there and find something else. You might find something else that's actually like much better for you in the long run. Granted, Pluto's going back into your 10th house, so you're kind of still dealing with major changes with authority figures, parents, your status, and your career. Watch for things that are going on with parents or bosses. That's generally a theme with a full moon in the 10th house. The card that I get for you is the Three of Coins. Okay, so this is about teamwork and effort. So when the Three of Coins comes up, it's about collaboration. It's about skills and shared goals. This is also about working and learning and pooling your energy with other people. So it might be a situation where, yeah, there's like a project that needs to kind of get done and you're feeling very incentivized to do it. Or maybe you have people who are helping you when it comes to, you know, finding a job or making the right kind of professional connections. And it's definitely a financial card as well. So it's working hard with other people to be able to help you provide. Good luck, my Aries. We got Taurus and Taurus rising. You guys will be experiencing a full moon in the sign of Capricorn, the first of two in your 9th house. So by sign, if you're an early degree Taurus, you'll be experiencing a trine. Capricorn is a fellow sister earth sign, so that's really good for you guys. It's very supportive. And the 9th house is all about higher education, travel, and philosophy. So whether it's teachers, college-related things, legal-related things, travel-related things, or anything in regards to your belief or the bigger picture of life, that is what the 9th house is all about. So there may be more of a focus on higher education, travel, or your philosophical beliefs. You might feel a strong urge to expand your horizons through learning or travel, and it can be a good time for exploring new ideas and broadening your perspective. Now, this is ruled by Saturn, okay? So Saturn is in your 11th house, which means you may feel like you want to travel to go and meet with a group of people to take a course or a workshop. You may be taking a course or a workshop or teaching one that can be coming up here as well. It's also possible that you're shifting something about your beliefs about your career. You're shifting the way that you look at work, and it's really influencing how you're networking and kind of working with other people. You could be traveling with friends. That's something else that can be kind of coming up here as well. Just some food for thought. You know, Pluto is retrograding back into this house, and Pluto does represent your partnerships and relationships. So it may kind of reference working closely and making some big changes in regards to who you're working with, who you're affiliated with professionally, reconnecting with a mentor or a teacher, wrapping something up in regards to travel or education before Pluto really goes back into your 10th house later in the year. The card that I got for you is the Page of Swords. Okay, so this can be about a message that can be kind of coming your way. This is about being witty, communicative. Also, it's about, you know, writing or clarity or anything in regards to, you know, feeling inspired and wanting to kind of share with other people. So those of you guys who are wanting to start like a campaign for something, if you're wanting to write a book, you want to publish something, you want to share something about your belief with the world, this is a really good card for that. I think it's really just going to have you thinking differently when it comes to your career and all of the different ways that your career can kind of like, you know, unfold, and exploring other options and keeping an open mind. Okay, so good luck, my Tauruses. I got Gemini and Gemini rising. You guys are going to be experiencing this full moon in Capricorn, the first of two. And this will be in your 8th house, okay? So the 8th house is all about shared resources. It's about transformation, intimacy. It is about psychological things, you know, stuff that's kind of deep and hidden. So there's definitely an emphasis on shared resources and a transformation of that. And that can be insurance-related matters, you know, joint bank accounts you have with a partner, tax-related things, expenses and stuff that you're having to pay for, stuff relating to debt, or even inheritances. You might find that there's like a theme of like psychological stuff that's coming up for you for a full moon here. And it can be that it's coming to the surface, and it's a profound period for personal growth and transformation. I do think that because Capricorn rules career in your 8th house, it's saying there are some either financial changes going on with a partner's money and it's impacting you, or maybe there are some financial changes going on at work where, you know, financial stuff is actually impacting the type of job that you're working, budgeting and things that are going on at work. There can be like kind of like cutbacks that are happening at work here as well. And I say that because Saturn is the ruler and it is about to turn retrograde in your 10th house of career and reputation. So obviously if you're like if you're a Gemini and you have anything between, I would say like 11 and 20 degrees of Gemini, you know, you're under a Saturn square this year. Saturn is squaring you. So you feel like there is some delays or some things you have to kind of overcome. So don't get too agitated. I think that this is wonderful to have a full moon in your 8th house while you have so much strength going through your 2nd, which can be very financial for you. Okay. You and Sagittarius, you guys you're going to feel that. But basically when I look at this, I really kind of feel like more of what's happening is that you're realizing, okay, I can build more money. I do feel confident. I can kind of show up and you know, kind of take care of business and feel like maybe it's about paying things off or kind of wrapping up debts. So that can come up here for you as well. The card that I got for you is Judgment. So you might be making big decisions revolving around career and money. You know, Judgment is typically a card that's about a definitive decision. It's a final decision. It's also about absoluteness. It's a wake-up call, inner calling, life purpose, self-evaluation, and awakening. So some of you guys are really waking up to, what do I really want to do with my life? What is my purpose? You know, what is my intuition or my emotions or feelings telling me? What am I afraid of? How can I overcome that? And making big changes in the ways that you look at security. Okay. So good luck, my Geminis. I'll catch you guys back here the next full moon. All right. So we've got Cancer and Cancer rising. Hello. What's up, Cancer? You're going to be having a full moon in your opposite sign of Capricorn. All right. So this will be the first of 2. And I will say this to all of my cardinal signs. You guys may really feel the effects of this a little bit more than some of the other signs, especially if you're, you know, 0 to 2 degrees of Cancer, sun, moon, rising. So full moon in your 7th house obviously is going to bring a pretty big emphasis when it comes to relationships, and whether this is clients, if this is partnerships, marriage, one-on-one relationships. A full moon in the 7th house is going to be bringing you some big action in regards to other people. I think this will be highlighting partnerships and relationships. You may experience a significant development in your romantic or business partnerships, and it's a time to be balancing personal needs with that of others. So you may feel like people need more things from you. And I say that because, well, you're ruled by the moon. So the moon being in the 7th house is fluctuations and changes going on with other people. If you have a client-based business, it might be a little bit, you know, kind of highlighted than typical. Also, if you sell any, you know, products or anything like that, this is also your marketplace. But the moon is in opposition to the sun, Mercury, Venus in your sign, which is, you know, I want, I need, I love. And it can, almost like a magnet, bring two people together. So there can be a new beginning when it comes to existing relationships, changes going on with partners where they're more in tune with what you need and vice versa. I will remind you that the next full moon feels more critical. So there can be the sense of being like, okay, let's give it a month and see how it goes if things get better. But next month is really going to be when I think the pressure is on. Pluto's still going to retrograde back into your 7th house as well. So that's just something to kind of think about. This is obviously ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in your 9th house. So it can mean that making big decisions about commitments, ceremonies, travel, you know, planning trips with partners, your relationships with counselors or teachers or mentors. It can also be a time where you're traveling and then you meet somebody, and it's a very significant connection. Something about relationships and partnerships, and that may be hinging on whether or not you guys have the same, you know, kind of background or the same belief system, the same faith, if you guys have the same vision or goals for your life. And the 9th house also connects and correlates with legal matters. So it can also mean that if you're reaching kind of a tail point in a relationship or a business partnership, some of you guys might be contemplating or considering, okay, you know, do we need to actually have a legal separation? It's possible for some of you guys, if you feel like the relationships have been on the fritz. I can just say that from what I've observed from a lot of my Cancer and Cancer risings, it's been a lot of like, it will get better, it'll get better. And you guys may really see over the next 2 months or so, you know, just how critical this becomes if it's something where you feel like things aren't actually evolving. So you really want to keep an eye on that. And definitely wonderful for working with coaches, mentors, teachers, therapists, people who can kind of help support you better and help you kind of stay in balance with other people. The card that I get for you is the Four of Swords. Okay, so we've got rest, relaxation, meditation, renewal, solitude, gathering your thoughts, recuperation, retreat, sanctuary, self-protection. Interesting that that comes up. That's a card of rest. That's a card of like, you know, taking a day off or taking some space. So with Sun, Venus, Mercury in your first house, there is this energy that is very strong. That's like, I need, and it's about self-love and your body, your appearance, how you feel. And you may realize that you're just investing in yourself more, and that for relationships to grow, it needs to be in balance, and it needs to be a relationship that does not feel like it is heavy emotional lifting. That's what Moon in Capricorn is. Some of you guys might be feeling like you need a little bit of space, or you need time to think something over and see how it goes over the next 4 weeks. Good luck, Cancer. We've got Leo and Leo rising. You guys will be experiencing this full moon in Capricorn in your natal 6th house. For you, my Leos, this is going to be all about health, work, and your daily routines. This is a good full moon to really focus on health and your daily habits. This period might bring attention to your work environment and physical well-being, and it's a good time to make adjustments to your daily habits to improve your health regimen. Sometimes health results come during a full moon in this house. Sometimes we see, you know, pets that need our attention more, or, you know, there's changes going on with our schedule, or there's changes going on with office space or jobs. That can happen here. More of a focus also on our relationship maybe to our coworkers as well. So that can definitely be a theme. If you're wanting to reorganize your office, if you're moving offices, it's a good time for that. If you are deciding that, you know, you are wanting to get back into the groove of health and wellness, it's a good time for that. It's not too late if you have not done that, because I think that it's better to start it with this full moon than to wait to the next full moon. The 6th house is also about our habits. So how are we sleeping, eating, drinking, working, right? These are all things that you're going to be really reflecting on. And while the 6th house is all about balance in the practical kind of daily routines, the 12th house, where we see all of these planets, is about sleep and our spiritual health, our mental health, rest and recuperation. So some of you guys, if you are having, you know, a day or two where you're feeling under the weather, I could see you just needing more sleep, or you're just needing more downtime, or you're needing to kind of rest a little bit more. I would pay really close attention to health, and in particular, this is ruled by Saturn, which is in Pisces in your 8th house. To me, this seems like it's like detoxing, you know, making sure that you're getting enough water, staying hydrated. This can be about not drinking. This can be about quitting a habit, especially if it's like relating to like drugs or alcohol. This can be the psychological effects of having a better routine and how that actually impacts you in a positive way. So that can be coming up as well. And you may be seeking support in dealing with trauma, issues revolving around fear, phobias, things like that. Water therapy can be helpful. Meditation can be helpful. Hypnosis can be helpful. So if you're kind of like, oh, I just can't stop, you know, smoking or eating or whatever, meditation and hypnosis can be really helpful in being able to kind of better break through some of these habits. Obviously, we're going to see Pluto drop back down into Capricorn here in a couple months. And so there's really a need to completely, you know, get rid of and like kick any bad habits, or Pluto being the ruler of your 4th house, it can be about you're keeping up your home space, staying organized, and then a part of being organized, you know, plays a huge role in actually your health and your habits, okay? The card that I get for you is the moon, okay? So it's interesting because the moon, obviously, the full moon's in the 6th house, but all these planets in Cancer are in the 12th house. And I think it's really going to be about paying attention to your emotions, the things that come up in your dreams, your subconscious, paying attention to what your emotions are telling you, because the moon is about what's hidden and subconscious and not seen. So we may have like, health related issues or things that kind of crop up, but it can be as a result of unprocessed emotions and things that have been kind of lurking in your subconscious. Okay. So watch for that, my Leos. Good luck. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. You guys are going to be experiencing a full moon in Capricorn, the first of what will eventually be two. And this will be taking place in a fellow earth sign. This will be in your 5th house. So it trines your Virgo placements if you have anything between like 0 and 2 degrees. Full moon in the 5th house is a beautiful energy. This is a really good one for Virgos because it's all about creativity, romance, and children. So a 5th house full moon can definitely put an emphasis on your hobbies, taking chances, romance, creativity. You're most likely going to feel a strong urge to pursue creative projects or engage in activities that bring you joy. Romantic relationships and matters relating to children are also highlighted here. So if you have kids, it can be really kind of spotlighting your kids this month and really the next month or so. If you are single and you're wanting to meet people, it's great energy for getting out there, going out and meeting people, especially going out with coworkers or people who may be other, creatives if you're in a creative field. Casinos, bars, restaurants, things like that are all connected to the 5th house. So it's a time to really lean into that creative, playful, romantic energy if you're wanting to meet somebody. And if you're already in a relationship, it's putting more of an emphasis on really maintaining that spark and romance to keep the relationship alive. Now, the reason why I say this is because it is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in your 7th house of committed relationships, partnerships, and long-term one-on-one partnerships with other people. So it can mean that you have a chance connection and it could turn into a serious life partner. It can mean that the relationship with Saturn in your 7th house is getting more serious. Talks of maybe getting married, getting engaged, having kids can kind of come up in existing relationships, or just working more closely with your partner when it comes to your children if you already have kids. Obviously, the 5th house is also about self-love, what you create. So big for creatives, entertainers, musicians, anybody who has a creative business, or if you're self-employed. This is a time to really showcase what you do and put it out there for other people. I know that Saturn can be a little bit of a pain in your 7th house. There may be more responsibility relating to partners than usual, but I do think that this can be wonderful for those of you guys who are really wanting to take the time to plan something special in a relationship, kind of find ways to kind of rekindle a little bit and bring kind of like the fun back into the relationship. The card that I got for you is the 8 of Cups. So this is interesting because, 5th house full moon, you got 2 of them, you got Pluto going there. Some of you guys may feel like that you're kind of feeling the pressure in a creative project, or in regards to a child, or in regards to a relationship. And the next couple of months may feel very critical about being like, is this going to actually, go all the way? Is this going to unfold? Will the career be successful, or the launch be successful? Will people like what I created? Will my kid get into college? Will we move in together? That kind of stuff. The 8 of Cups is definitely a card that is about moving on, okay? So if you're somebody who's like, you know what, I have been with this person for a while, we're not seeing, eye to eye. This is about opening your heart up and basically being like, I'm willing to let this be, to see what else is out there. Because after the 8 of Cups, we see the 9 of Cups, where you're rewarded for walking away from a situation. This is about sometimes if you feel unfulfilled in a current situation, then you're walking into the unknown, letting go, searching for truth, leaving, going off to find something better. So if you happen to be one of those Virgos who's having a situation like this where you're not sure what the future holds, this is about really asking yourself, do I love this, job? Do I love this person? Do I love this project? Am I done here? Do I need to kind of keep it moving? Certainly it's going to feel more dramatic when it comes to matters of the heart for the next couple of months. So do not settle. That is my advice. Good luck. All right, we got Libra and Libra rising. What's going on, Libra? As I said to Cancer and Aries, this is going to be a little bit more intense for you. I think it's going to be actually rather intense for Libras. Primarily because you're the one sign that's kind of missing from this cardinal cross energy here, okay? So as the moon kind of goes through here, we're going to be seeing that this is going to be squaring all of the cardinal angles in your chart. So a full moon in your 4th house, this is bringing your attention to home, roots, and family. So whether this is your roommates, your family, where you're living, this is also the past, this is your private life. These are going to be the areas of focus for you, Libra. If you happen to be an early degree Libra or Libra rising, 0 to 2 degrees, you're going to feel the square a little bit more intensely. There will be a focus on home and family life, and there can be some issues relating to your living situation or family dynamics that can come to the forefront. It's a good time for addressing any domestic issues and strengthening family bonds. Now, full moon in the 4th house can be, signing leases. It can be moving, buying houses, completing renovations. But keep in mind, this is a house that's ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is currently in your 6th house. So those of you guys who are Libras who work from home, it can mean that there's just more work that's kind of like loading up your schedule. It means also that something about what's going on with either your home or your family situation is impacting something relating to your daily routine, your habits, maybe even your pets. This can be about completing projects and bringing people in. So I think of like, people who are finishing decks or, fixing foundations or fixing faucets, especially anything relating to office spaces or water. Laundry rooms can kind of come through the 6th house as well. Anywhere where there's like cleaning. I think this would be a wonderful time to really do a lot of like maintenance on your home. And if you've got junk drawers or if you've got closets or garages and things that you need to organize and you need to get in ship shape, this full moon and next full moon, you can definitely do that. And this can be a time where if you're looking to bring somebody to come in to organize your space, clean your space, that can be something that you're considering doing. Just remember the next full moon is going to also be here at 29 degrees conjunct Pluto. So there is going to feel more of a critical situation going on in terms of something that is changing or completing or ending when it comes to your home or your family. The card that I get for you is the World card. Okay, so this is a pretty positive card for you, my Libras. So this is about completion. This is integration, accomplishment, world travel, bigger picture, evolution, fulfillment, harmony, and a sense of belonging. Okay. So it can mean that you have figured out where home is. It can mean that you have found the perfect spot or the perfect roommate, or maybe you're going back home or you've got family coming and staying with you. So there is some kind of big kind of completion that's going on. You'll have to let me know how this goes for you guys. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I know that, Pluto going through your 4th house for the last like umpteen years has definitely been a lot, but you're kind of reaching the end of the tunnel here. And a lot of you guys are going to have more stability when it comes to home in the next couple months. Good luck. All right, so we've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You guys will be experiencing a full moon in the sign of Capricorn in your 3rd house. My Scorpios, this is a house that's all about communication, okay? It's also about siblings, sometimes short distance trips. It can also be relating to vehicles, gadgets, things like that. And there's an emphasis on communication with relationships, sometimes siblings, sometimes neighbors. You might find yourself engaged in important conversations with others, and it's definitely a period of expressing your ideas clearly and resolving any misunderstandings. Now, 3rd house is also things like blogs, websites, things relating to changing cars, things relating to contracts you sign. It can also be about moving if you're contemplating moving. So conversations revolving around that. I would watch for business negotiations and contracts because this is a house that's in Capricorn. Some food for thought. Saturn rules this particular full moon. It's in your 5th house. So if you're somebody who's self-employed, it's a great time to like revamp a website. It's a great time also to be focusing on communication and connections with other creatives. Writing, especially if you feel inspired, sharing, your thoughts and ideas with other people. This is also about how you're communicating and talking about matters of the heart, because Saturn is in your 5th house, which is about self-love, creativity, dating, and children. So serious conversations with romantic partners, you know, traveling with children, you know, talking about who you love, what you love, planning romantic kind of getaways, and that kind of stuff seems to be a huge topic. Pluto is your chart ruler. It's your modern day ruler, and it's been in and out of Aquarius here for the last year or so, and Pluto will be retrograding back into Capricorn. So for everybody, that's important because they're going to have to kind of look at what's going on with the Capricorn area of the chart, but it's going to impact you a little bit more. I think this is going to be about transforming the way that you communicate with other people. I think it's also transforming something about your relationship to relatives or your living situation. So some of you guys might be anticipating having some changes with your home or your family, or you're undergoing that currently, and it's going to be really highlighting how you're communicating with some of these people. So pay attention if you're having to kind of talk to family a little bit more throughout this transit. And I would just say try to kind of speak from the heart. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see when Pluto goes back into your third house, because that's going to be a pretty critical moment for my Scorpio risings, okay? The card that I got for you is the Death card. Not surprised. At least it's your card, right? Once again, transformation, an ending of one thing and the beginning of the other. And that's so cool because the moons are reflecting that, you know, Pluto is reflecting that, and now the tarot is reflecting that. A symbolic death and rebirth, big changes, time to move on, transforming, transition, endings, letting go or release, starting anew. Some people would look at this and go, well, like, oh, a car could break down, you know, maybe. But I think that this is about totally letting go of one way of thinking and opening up to something new. And whether that's where you live, what you're learning, what you believe in. Definitely watch for some intensity that can kind of come up around, like I said, family relationships, aunts, uncle, cousins, siblings. That can definitely happen here as well. Do I think this means that there is a death? Not necessarily, but Pluto is still in your 4th house. Jupiter is still in your 8th house, and a full moon that's going to be taking place in your 3rd house 2 times over and then 1 in the 4th. There can definitely be some changes going on with home and family that is kind of getting you thinking about planning a trip and visiting with these people. Okay. Good luck, Scorpio. We've got Sag and Sag rising. You guys will be experiencing this full moon in Capricorn in your natal 2nd house. For my Saggies, this is all about your finances, your values, your possessions, money in the bank, cash in hand, what your spending power is. And there's definitely going to be a highlight on financial matters and personal values. It's very likely you will experience some change in your income, or you're reassessing your material possessions in some way. It's definitely a really good time to reevaluate your financial security and your resources. Just some thoughts here, okay? 2 full moons in your 2nd house, money's gonna be on your mind. That is a given. I do think that this can be a time where it's about money in, money out, kind of similar with Gemini. You have got full moons in your 2nd house, which can be about payments coming in, but it can also be about bills, you know, coming in, being due, especially with the Sun, Venus, Mercury in the 8th. I think that this is more or less about money that may be coming to you through other people. So it can be family, it can be stuff relating to property, to real estate, and other things that are going to be like almost like inheritance-esque energy from others. What else? So then we also see that Saturn is the ruler of this particular full moon. Okay, and that's over here in Pisces in your 4th house. If you're a Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, and you've got anything between, I would say, like 19 and 12 degrees, you're going to be experiencing a Saturn square this year. So this can kind of indicate that you're experiencing some challenges. There's some delays sometimes. There's some setbacks when it comes to home and family things, whether that's buying a home, moving, where you're going to live, taking care of parents, or there just being more responsibilities within the home in general. Thankfully, I think that with this full moon kind of being ruled by Saturn, you're really taking stock in, well, you know, where do I feel safe and secure at home? Where are my finances important because I'm trying to buy a house, or I'm renovating something, or I'm moving into a bigger apartment, or, you know, money is tight because I have these new kind of financial responsibilities, or maybe you're helping taking care of a family member. So yeah, watch your finances basically in both June and July. Keep in mind that later this year, Both next month, we see a full moon that's going to be critical in the financial department. And then Pluto's going to go back into your second house here in a couple months. Likely wanting to kind of shore up any long-standing issues that you have with money, fears revolving around, am I going to have enough? Is it going to be okay? Like that kind of stuff. And don't forget to do the work also when it comes to building yourself up. Second house isn't just about money, it's how we feel, it's our self-esteem. So there's definitely a need to really make sure that you're investing in yourself, you're speaking kindly to yourself, you're reminding yourself, I am worth it, I am capable, I am good enough, because that's going to reflect in your bank account. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what your cards say. The card that I get is the Seven of Wands. Okay. This is a card that's about protecting what's yours, standing up for what's yours. And I think whether that's your home, your resources, your security, your peace, this is about standing your ground, having boundaries, defending your position, challenge, perseverance, protectiveness, and protecting your territory. So it's interesting that Saturn's connected to this, that it's in your fourth house. I think it's about making sure that you have everything that you need to feel financially safe and secure and protected. Maybe it means that you're like, I'm buying a safe for my house. Maybe it means you're putting in a new alarm system. You know, maybe it means that you're, deciding that you want to have a little bit of extra money in the bank, in case something kind of goes down in the world, so you feel safe. Don't worry about this. I'm not concerned about it. I think it's actually going to be really positive for you guys, because you're going to be able to kind of create a little bit more of a cushion in the off chance that you're having to kind of deal with more home and family related things. Okay. Good luck, Sag. All right, we've got our Capricorns and Capricorn risings. Obviously, this is your full moon, so it'll be interesting to see how this manifests for you guys. When you have a full moon in your first house, it is all about self. It's about the body, appearance, and also your identity. So full moon in the first house, go back and think about what was going on in in January of 2024, in January, when you had this new moon and it was conjunct Pluto and it was trine Uranus, and you were like, I want this big change. That some big change was kind of brewing for you. Whether that was a brand new you and you have goals for how you look, or your health or your fitness, your style, or it was just really about your goals, this is that completion point. It's also about your personal identity, your self-expression. You may feel an urge to make significant changes in your appearance or how you present yourself to the world. And it's a time for reflection and reevaluation of your personal goals. Keep in mind, there will be another full moon next month. We're also going to see Pluto retrograde back into your sign later this year. So you're not quite done with some of the change and transformation. And I think maybe this is like where you're really looking at, okay, how far have I come in recent years? What else do I still have to do? Where do I need to push a little harder? Obviously, this is ruled by Saturn, which is in your third house. So it's mind over matter. What goals you're writing down, how you're speaking to yourself, how you're sharing your, ideas, your thoughts, your needs with other people. This can be online in written form. This can be through teaching. This can be traveling. You may be feeling more inclined to want to travel and do something alone, especially with all of this opposition to your seventh house. Lots of relationship energy in the sky for you, but you may be feeling like you either want to kind of get away, or you need some time to reflect, where you're just communicating your needs, I think, better with other people. You have any placements between 0 and 2 degrees, you're going to feel this very strongly. And then my Capricorns who are 28, 29 degrees, you guys are going to feel this very strongly next month. But to be honest with you guys, any Capricorn placement is going to feel that this month, because there is this impending feeling of, oh, something's coming, and it's going to be a bigger change, which will be manifesting for you guys, I think, next month. All right, let's take a look. The card that I get is the King of Wands. I love that. So King of Wands can be a fire sign, right? Sag, Leo, or Aries, but it can be about you embodying this energy as well. Fire is passionate, it's confident, it's creative. So this can be about being a leader, It's about your vision and your boldness, being more charming or daring, an entrepreneur, somebody with power, the bigger picture, optimism, and taking control. But in this case, it's control of yourself, control of your mind. You want to be reminding yourself, like, I am capable, I am in control, I'm in the driver's seat. Write it down, speak it into reality, remind yourself, because the power is really coming from Saturn in your third house. I would definitely be also like listening to things or doing meditations on, self-improvement or self-healing or anything of that nature. So you're feeling really solid about some of the changes that you're making, and also inspired to complete some major transformation process. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You guys will be experiencing a full moon in Capricorn in your natal 12th house. So a full moon in your 12th house, it can make you feel a little squirrely. So you may anticipate having some changes with your sleep schedule or feeling like you need some privacy, because the 12th house is all about subconscious solitude and spirituality. Now, with a full moon in the 12th house, there is a huge focus on the subconscious and spiritual matters. You may be a little bit more introspective, needing some solitude and wanting to rest, recuperate, spend time meditating, or being alone in nature. I think this is a period for addressing hidden issues or seeking inner peace. Now, obviously, this is a full moon that is also ruled by Saturn, and that happens to be your co-ruler as well. And Saturn is in the second house, which is about money, resources, security, stability. Not a full moon that you want to be stressing out about money, okay? Capricorn is work and career, and you've got a lot of planets moving through your 6th house of health and healing. So if you happen to be one of those Aquariuses who's feeling under the weather, you can't stress about not going to work. You really need to take the time to rest and heal. There can also be self-doubt, insecurities, worries also that can be kind of coming up about finances or about stability. But there's a lot of support in the skies with planets going through your 6th house, where there's doctors, family members, healers, other people who are there to kind of support you. You may find that this is about cutting out or removing or cutting back on something health-wise, which can actually be beneficial for you. And maybe you're finding new ways to cope with some of these new health habits. And I do think that there can be some really significant realizations with the full moon that happens in the 12th house. Sometimes this is when, like I said, we feel a little squirrely, and there can be self-undoing tendencies that can come out. And, Capricorn in the 12th house can be overworking. So if you're doing too much of that, you're not better balancing your schedule, pay attention to that. Like I said, you will have another full moon that's going to be in the 12th house next month, which will be conjunct Pluto in your sign. So that can be about some bigger changes and transformations for you physically and personally. And Pluto will also go back into the 12th house. So there's a lot of clearing out stuff in the subconscious, which can be really limiting you when it comes to your health and daily routine. There's a need to really let it go and not be focused on trying to control everything with some of these transits that are going to be taking place. The 12th house is also about healing centers, foreign countries, hidden places. So these things can kind of come up here as well. So it's not unusual with full moons here that we're like visiting a specialist or, going to see a therapist or, going to a hospital. Like these things can happen with these full moons. The card that you get is the Queen of Cups. So that can be a Cancer, Pisces, or a Scorpio that can pop in. I'm wondering if this is going to be about nurturing and support and assistance that you're getting from a woman throughout this transit, because that can be the Queen of Cups. And this is about being compassionate, warm, caring. This is also about intuition, healers, support, being in the flow, and being empathic. So might be a time where you're like, I'm seeking a Reiki session, or, I have somebody who's coming to help me, post-surgery, or, I am feeling a little bit more emotional and sensitive, and I'm kind of tending to that a little bit better. Okay, so watch for that. Good luck, Aquarius. And we have our Pisces and Pisces risings. You guys will be experiencing a full moon in the sign of Capricorn in your natal 11th house. So for you Pisces, this is putting an emphasis on parties, friendships, group activities, socializing, getting together. So it's wonderful. You know, the 11th house is also about our goals and our wishes. So sometimes we see some wish fulfillment kind of come up with a full moon in the 11th house. This will be one of 2 full moons in Capricorn. So you have it extra sweet with this taking place. It looks like it's probably going to be a pretty busy social season for you with all that action going on. And I think it's interesting because, you know, we see that this is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in your sign. The 11th house is also about networking. Professional networking can kind of come up with Capricorn here, and it's also about your goals. So it's really putting an emphasis on, okay, you know, are you holding yourself accountable for reaching your goals? Are you pushing yourself to get out there and connect with other people? Are you making enough of an effort to be a good friend, to get out there and, you know, spend time with the people that you love? I also think that the 11th house is about sharing with others. And you've got all these planets going through your 5th house of being on stage, being creative, being artistic, being romantic, having playtime. And that's something that you want to do when these planets go through your 5th house. So if you want to go out and socialize, if you want to meet other people, if you're, you know, wanting to, you know, date, you got to go and be where the people are, whether that's going out with your friends or going to places that are going to be a little bit more social. Really good with all that energy in your 5th house for romance and dating and going places and connecting with people. So I think that even friends could possibly set you up if you're single with some of these transits. Definitely a time to be really reflecting on your goals and holding yourself accountable for making them a reality, whether it's in regards to your friendships or your professional life. Keep in mind that Pluto will go retrograde back into this as well. So there's going to be some pretty significant changes when it comes to your overall goals and the people that you surround yourself with. Card that I get is the 10 of Pentacles. I love this. So obviously this is a big financial card. This is about, you know, a dynasty or a legacy, inheritance, wealth, financial security, long-term success, roots, and also privilege. So this is about completions in regards to finances and something big happening and kind of coming through. I do think that it's interesting that you have the North Node in your 2nd house. So you're very focused on building and having your own resources right now. But it may mean that this is more about some of your goals and success when it comes to your careers really starting to materialize, and you're going to start to see that manifest physically now down the road. So yeah, two full moons in that part of the sky is definitely going to be extra fortuitous for Pisces. Well, guys, I hope that was helpful in giving you some insight into the first full moon in Capricorn. I can't wait to look at the next one. But let me know, what do you guys think? Where is this taking place in your natal chart? And do you have any placements around this degree? Let me know. I always love reading your comments. I don't always get back to everybody, but I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. And if you want to see more about me and my practice, my courses, or personal sessions with me, check out my website at beyondtheveiledtarot.com. We've got lots of information there, along with beginners tarot and astrology reading courses and much, much more. Until next time, I'll catch all of you guys back here very soon. Actually, very soon. I'll be here tomorrow. We're going to be doing live readings on the channel, so check out that link in the community tab if you guys want to get in the queue and join me. I'll be here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time. All right, I'll let you guys go. I'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.